I want to welcome you to the Bible Forum. I'm Warren Sprouse here on the Bible Forum with me every Sunday night from 8 until 10 p.m. We love to have you here watching in the chat room, talking to the folks that gather. This week we have been able to realize a dream, and that is the ability to take live phone calls. I won't do it now. It's going to be toward the end of this half hour. About 20 minutes from now. Make a note. I'll alert you, and we'll be able to talk at one another. Keep in mind when you call in, you will immediately be about 40 or 50 seconds ahead of time. You won't understand anything that's going on. You're going to be on and you'll be listening. It'll be a whole different discussion. Because there is that much of a delay around the country. I don't know about around the world. Got to take all of that into consideration. The phone number is 843-666-1154. I'll tell you that several times as we go along. I want you to pay attention on the various outlets that we have, our website, our Facebook page, our YouTube. We want you to get involved. If you feel like it's important, you'd like to contribute, the Bible Forum is a ministry of alternatives, biblical counseling and education. It's a 501c3 tax-exempt charitable corporation. You can make checks out to alternatives. You can use the PayPal link. You can set things up to pay pretty much any way you want. If you need to know how to make out a check, give me a holler, email something, and I will give you the address. Don't want to give that out over the air. We're going to do something different now. We've begun, this is the second or third iteration, but from this point forward, we'll do only 4 segments. Been doing about 7 or 8. Only do 4 segments. They'll last about a half hour each. Most of that will be taken up with me talking at you, but there'll be this sort of thing, and then at the end we'll take your calls. We would love for you to be involved in that. I have a segment here that it's about 5 different articles. I've entitled it "In Praise of Liberalism." What is the number one cause of death in America? We are listening to the news and it's talking to us about people, 70 people shot or 70 gun incidents in Chicago in one weekend, that sort of thing. People getting killed. Is it cars? Is it planes? Is it, No, it is the deliberate, purposeful, induced abortion of babies. Leading cause of death in the United States. It accounts for 61% of all deaths among African Americans, according to researchers from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. Only 1% of abortions are the result of rape, and less than half of 1%, is the result of incest. About 12% are sought to protect a woman's health, 13% for prenatal health issues. That means ordinary abortions make up nearly 75% of abortions in America. In 2009, the last year there were statistics for this situation, 1.152 million babies were murdered at the insistence of their mothers. 1,800 black babies every day. Now, this is not universally true. You have to keep in mind that very often it's the men in the women's life that pressures them to get rid of the baby. But that trend has been steadily shifting over the last few decades as women are more insensitive to what they are really doing. And you can thank Planned Parenthood, the media, and now even religious leaders People like Rebecca Todd Peters, who is a professor at Elon University in North Carolina. She refers to a Bible passage, John chapter 10, verse 10. And in this passage, the Lord Jesus Christ says, "The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly." And apparently that only refers to the mother. It doesn't refer to the innocent child that she is so willing to kill. These statistics regarding abortion represent nearly twice the deaths due to heart disease and cancer. Both of these are in the 570 to 600,000 range. One black pastor is calling this black genocide at the hands of the abortion industry. He has noted that 52% of African American pregnancies end in abortion, and that this is the least regulated medical procedure in the country, and often completely ignored by health regulation enforcement. Where the black population represents 12.8% of the population, they account for more than 35% of deaths by abortion here in the United States. Non-Hispanic whites account for 37.7% of abortions, but there are 5 times as many of them in the population, 63.7%. The liberal, progressive, anti-God left systematically is culling the black population. At the same time, they maintain their love and support for these folks. Does anybody see this? Does anybody care? Conservative Christians, conservative politicians are shouted down as racist and homophobic because they want abortions to be more regulated. Can you say doublespeak? That comes from George Orwell's novel 1984, which he wrote in the mid-1930s. In another book of Orwell's called Animal Farm, he predicted a world where animals rise up to take control of their human masters, only to find their more intelligent and power-loving leaders, which in his book was the pigs, rising up to be more oppressive and heartless than their former human masters. Now, it's something of a truism that all animals are equal, but some animals are a little bit more equal than others. What else is the media, the education system, and their fellow travelers doing to destroy? It's our constitutional foundation, which is a form of insanity. Not the Constitution, but the effort to destroy it. And why do they have this insistence? Because America was founded on biblical principle. This is not a political, social movement. America was a spiritual movement. The United States of America is all that stands between anarchy and prosperity. And that's throughout the world. All you have to do is look around. Look at Russia, huge country. China, bigger than that. Iran, large country. Europe. These would soon plunge the world into total chaos if the United States suddenly went away. As an interesting side note, the Bible predicts a day during the Great Tribulation when a giant meteor crashes to Earth, destroying 1/3 of the land mass. North and South America represent just about that much. And you can read the book of the Revelation, you can read the Daniel passages, you can read Ezekiel, all of the prophetic work. They don't talk about the United States at all. They talk about Western leaders, but they don't talk about the U.S. It just makes you wonder. In this whole look at the leftist liberal, the question becomes, what does a progressive liberal look like? The New York Times has hired avowed racist and New York Times hater Sarah Young. This is a woman who routinely tweeted overtly racist comments. Of course, the racism was pointed at non-black, non-Hispanic people, so it was okay. But some of her now present employers are among the folks who stand against this sort of thing. And people are asking the question, why do they not care? Candace Owens, a black supporter of President Donald Trump and communications director for Turning Point USA, tried a little experiment over the weekend. On the heels of the New York Times defending its hiring of editorial board member Sarah Young, Owens decided to post tweets using Young's words but swapping black for Jewish. What happened? Well, the Twitter ended up blocking her account because she was inciting hate. The press, the visual media, the social media groups, the music industry, the movie industry, and most of the TV programming today feed us a steady diet of one liberal line, one easily embraced by idealistic young people. Young's pattern of slanderous comments is now being rewarded by the New York Times, an organization that brags all the news fit to print. Let a noted conservative try anything like this and see what happens. This woman is going to join the paper in September as its lead writer on technology. Then the question becomes, how political can that be? Stay tuned. Over on the left coast, according to theblaze.com, in Portland, Oregon, an outraged mob descended upon the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Field Office in Portland, Oregon. They barricaded the exits, blocked the doors to trap the defenseless workers inside. Protesters marched with signs calling ICE employees Nazis, accusing them of running a concentration camp and being part of the Gestapo. They shared the ICE employees' names and private information online, encouraging people to harass them and their families. Then the mob turned on the journalists covering the story, heckling them and banning any form of photography. Don't want anybody to see their faces. The mob then set up camp next to the building and built an 8-foot wall around themselves as they demanded open borders. Did the irony not strike them? They defaced the American flag and brandished anarchistic and communist flags in their place. Portland police ignored pleas for help from ICE workers. Eventually, these workers were evacuated, but they were evacuated by federal police, while the occupiers remained, continuing their threatening campaign, not just against ICE, but also local business owners, police, and several of the area's residents. So why did the city allow this? Why did law enforcement ignore the calls for help? According to the Wall Street Journal, Democrat Mayor Ted Wheeler, who doubles as police commissioner, stated, I want to be very clear. I do not want the Portland police to be engaged or sucked into a conflict, particularly from a federal agency that I believe is on the wrong track. The chaos was allowed to go on for 38 days, leaving the community in shock and landing taxpayers with a hefty cleanup bill. Why did we not hear about this on the news? 38 days. Nothing. The parents of an Ohio transgender teenager who wanted to change her name from Heidi to Elliot are suing the judge who told them the teen wasn't mature enough to make that decision. Judge Joseph Kirby refused the request of Kylan and Stephanie Whitaker to change the name of their 15-year-old child who was born a female but identifies as a male. And I say, finally, we have found a sane judge. Kirby noted that, quote, children change significantly and rapidly, end of quote, and argued that the teen might grow up and regret her decision. Is he the only one that thinks that way? At that point, he said the teen can come back, age 18, emancipation, and complete the process. He ended by saying, age, develop, mature. The Whitakers and the parents of two other transgender teens filed a suit Friday against Kirby. You see a pattern here? They said this process has been more complicated than it should have been. This should have been a private family member, but instead we feel our rights were violated. The judge suggested the teen's expression of his gender, her gender, identity, was not sincere, but instead was a result of exposure of media coverage and the transition of Caitlyn Jenner. I want to know, when was it we began to ascribe to 12 to 15-year-olds the wisdom of adulthood? Today, a significant number of young adults aren't as mature as the teenagers were 40 years ago. And yet we are allowing them to make legal decisions younger and younger and younger. And the judge is right. TV, internet, and a seriously liberal activist media has warped an entire generation. Heidi's problem is with her parents.